Hi, I'm Jim McCarthy and this is the fourth video blog I'm doing for drumclinic.com, and the subject of today's video is practice. Practices if you like. How to practice, how long you should practice for, and how many times you should practice in a week. Okay, there's a little bit of psychology involved here. Okay, now I'm not an expert on the brain, but I do know from experience, and I have read a fair bit about the way the brain works and how your mind works in particular. And so there is some principles to use when you're practicing that's really going to help you maximize the benefits you get from your practice time. Now, first of all, let's look at how long you should practice for in any one given time. Now sure, the more practice you do, the better. If you can practice for 25 hours out of a day, well, you'll be a champion. The reality is that no one's able to do that. We all lead busy lives. There's a limit to how much you can practice for. Also, of course, that as you work on something for a period of time, the brain gets tired. Okay, so you can't practice for long periods of time. Just like anything else, like your personal fitness. If you want to go running to get fit, you don't go out and run 50 miles the first time you do it. You'll just ruin your body. You need to build up to it slowly. It's the same thing with practice. You can't have the ability to practice for long hours right off the bat because your brain hasn't built up the stamina to concentrate on one thing for such a long time. So practice, both in the physical and in the mental sense, is something that you have to work up to. However, there is a magic number. The number is 20 minutes. Okay, it's a little bit different, give or take a minute or so for different people, but basically it's about the same for each person. It's about 20 minutes. Now, 20 minutes is where you should be aiming to start your practice at. Okay, if you do less than 20 minutes in your practice session, you're not going to get a lot of benefit from it. If you do 20 minutes or more, you start getting a great deal more benefit from it. Now, why is 20 minutes the magic number? I've got my little drawings here to help explain it. Okay, so I'm going to put this in front of the camera and we'll have a look at it. Okay, so here's my little diagram. Here's your brain represented by this big circle. Now, here's the conscious part of your brain up here, the bit that you think with all the time. Look how big it is. It's about 10% of your total brain. This big bit down here is the subconscious part of your brain. All right, it's responsible for much more. So you have these two parts of the brain. You have the conscious mind, okay? The conscious mind is the bit that we're using all the time, the bit you're using right now when you look at this video, okay? It's the bit that's thinking about things whilst you're awake, and it's the bit that you're using all the time. The subconscious, of course, is the bit that is thinking about all sorts of things. The great thing about the subconscious is that you're not aware of it, but it's thinking about more than one thing at any one time. Okay? Unlike the conscious, which can only think about pretty much one or two things at once, the subconscious can think upon all sorts of topics. And it works 24 hours a day. It never stops. Okay? The subconscious is the bit of you that is responsible for your dreams. So it's active when you're asleep. It's doing all sorts of things. It's working for you on anything that you think is important enough for it to work on. Okay, so if you find at some point you're really worried about something, you can't get to sleep at night, that's your subconscious kind of working on a problem. Okay, it's saying, hey, this is really important to you, so I need to think about this. Okay, so that 20 minutes is a magic figure. Okay, that's how long it takes for you to tell your subconscious, hey, this is I've spent 20 minutes on now. It's worth enough effort for you to start thinking about it too. And so then the subconscious starts thinking about it. So once again, let's start having a look at what happens. If we're just using the conscious part of our brain, practicing for 19 minutes, here we go, we're practicing for this much of the day, say 19 minutes. Here's my timeline of 24 hours in the day. You're practicing for this 19 minutes here. And then the amount of benefit you get out of that is that much. That's how much brain power you spend on it, 19 minutes. Okay? But if I practice for that little bit more, if I practice for, say, 20 minutes out of the day, 21 minutes out of the day, then that subconscious part of the brain is now practicing for the whole 24 hours before it starts needing a top up. Okay, so that's the number of 20 minutes and why you should practice for at least a minimum of 20 minutes every time you practice. Very simply put, you practice for 19 minutes, you get 19 minutes worth of benefit for the day. If you practice for 20 minutes, or perhaps just even a little bit more, you're not just going to get 20 minutes of benefit, you're going to get that subconscious working on that for 24 hours. Point number 2, the